Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jess, and in today's tutorial I am so excited to finally be able to share with you our video tutorial for Manny the Moose. This has been consistently one of our most popular patterns since we opened our Etsy shop back in 2020. You guys love this pattern and I can't wait to share it with you in video form. This video will be two parts. Part one will be the head, the ears, and the antlers. Part two will be the body, the arms, and the legs. So let's grab our supplies and we can jump in. So for today's tutorial, I'm going to be using my Baby Snuggle yarn in Teddy Bear, I think it's called, and Honey Bunny in beige. I always use these yarns. You can use whatever yarn you want, just keeping in mind that the smaller the yarn, the smaller the project, the bigger the yarn, the bigger the project. This is already a very big project, so keep that in mind when choosing your yarn. You don't want to go too big unless you're looking for like a full-sized stuffy, because even with this yarn, you're going to have quite a large stuffy. For crochet hooks, I'm just using my 5.5mm crochet hook from Crochet Society. I also like to just have a smaller one, 3.75, just to weave in my ends and do whatever I need to do with that. I also need a darning needle, a stitch marker, some fabric pins, scissors, some safety eyes. These are 20mm safety eyes, but you can use 16. You can embroider eyes, whatever you want to do. And I also have some fiber fill here. So once we have all of our supplies gathered, we can jump into the project. All right, so we are going to be starting off with our head, and we're going to be using our color A yarn, that brown, or whatever you've chosen for your body, head, etc. So to start off this project, we actually are going to be starting off with an oval. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to create a slip knot. And when we have our slip knot here, we're going to chain 7. So yarn over, pull through, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this is what we're looking like so far. Now to create an oval, what we're going to do is we're going to crochet along the top edge here like we normally would. Then we're going to flip down, we're going to crochet along the bottom here as well. So to start, we are going to skip this first chain that's closest to your hook, that 7th chain. And in the next 6 chains, we are going to place a single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now we're going to flip onto the bottom here and we're going to crochet again 6 across. I like to crochet over my yarn end for this specific technique, only because I find that if you are going to get any spacing or holes, because we're working into both sides of the chain, this usually will help bulk it up a little bit so that you maybe won't get that. So I'm going to create 6 on the bottom here, crocheting over my yarn end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is what we're looking like. Now we should be in a circle or an oval here, and we should have a total of 12 stitches at the end of this second round here. Now I'm going to place my stitch marker. I like to use my scrap strand of yarn if you've watched any of my videos, but you can use whatever you'd like to use. So moving on for round 3, we're going to do an increase round. So an increase is 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. So we're going to go into this first single crochet here. We're going to place a single crochet, then right back into that same stitch with another single crochet. We're going to complete this all the way around. And you should have a total of 24 stitches at the end of round 3. All right, so this is what we're looking like at the end of round 3 here. Moving on for round 4, we're going to do the combination single crochet 3 and an increase stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and increase. 2 stitches in 1, just like that. Now we're going to repeat this a total of 6 times. 1, 2, 3, and an increase. And you should have 30 stitches at the end of this round. 1, 2, 3, increase. All right, so this is what we're looking like. If you've noticed that your work is a bit like wavy, that's okay. It's going to even itself out as we move along here. Now moving on to round 5, we're just going to do single crochet 30. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I will complete this round off camera and I'll meet you back here for round 6. All right, so now we're moving on to round 6. And for round 6, we're going to do the combination single crochet 4 and an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and an increase. And again, we're going to repeat this 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and an increase. You should have 36 stitches at the end of round 6. So this is what we're looking like at the end of round 6. Now for round 7 and 8, we're going to do single crochet 36. So that's just, again, 1 single crochet in each stitch around for both rounds 7 and round 8. So I will complete these 2 rounds off camera and I'll meet you back here for round 9. All right, so this is what we're looking like. We're starting to form the snout here. So this is after round 8 is completed. So now we're going to move on to round 9. And in round 9, we're going to start to decrease down our stitches. So for round 9, we're going to do the combination single crochet 4 and a decrease. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I like to do an invisible decrease. So invisible decrease is we're going to grab this first front loop here of this first stitch. And then into this very next stitch, we're going to grab that other front loop. We're going to yarn over, pull through those 2 loops. So you have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through. So you just made 2 stitches into 1. So again, we're going to repeat this a total of 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a decrease. So front loop and front loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, and you should have 30 stitches at the end of round 9. 2, 3, 4, and decrease. All right. For round 10, we are going to do single crochet 30. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around. 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, for round 11, we're going to do single crochet 3 and decrease. 1, 2, 3, decrease. And again, we're going to repeat this 6 times for a stitch count of 24. All right. Now moving on to round 12, we are going to do single crochet 24. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll finish this round off camera and I'll meet you back here for the next step. All right. So now we're going to be moving on to round 13 here, which is going to be the last round of the snout. And for this round, we're going to do the combination single crochet 2 and a decrease. 1, 2, decrease. Again, repeating this 6 times. 1, 2, decrease. And you should have 18 stitches at the end of this round. There we go. And that is the snout portion completed. Now we are going to be just working directly from the snout back into the head. So this will be one solid piece. But first, I just like to do a quick stuffing of the snout, just because as we move on, it gets harder and harder to stuff. So I'm just going to take some fiber fill here. And what I like to do is I just like to sweep the fiber fill to the sides and the edges to make sure that everything is getting fully stuffed. And then I just add a little bit more to the center where I kind of swept the stuffing away, just to make sure that it's full enough. Now we don't want to overstuff. We don't want any spaces in our crochet or any holes. So if you notice any holes that you may have overstuffed a little bit, but you also want it enough that's going to hold its shape. So kind of that happy medium. So that's what we're looking like so far. We will obviously continue to add stuffing as we go along. All right, so now we're going to start moving on to the head. And we are going to start off with round 14 because round 13 was the last one we did of the snout here. For round 14, we're going to do single crochet 2 and an increase stitch. And this is like the hardest part, I think, because I always grab the stuffing. I find it harder to crochet once the stuffing is in, so it always takes me a little bit longer. So we're going to do single crochet 2 with an increase. Repeat this 6 times. For a stitch count again of 24. So we're going back up again in our stitch count. All right, for round 15, we're going to do the combination single crochet 3 and an increase. 1, 2, 3, increase. We'll repeat this 6 times and we should have 30 stitches at the end. 1, 2, 3, increase. All right, for round 16, we're going to do single crochet 30. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around. 2, 3, 4. I'll do this round off camera and I'll meet you back here for round 17. All right, for round 17, we're going to do the combination single crochet 4 and increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase. Once again, we're repeating this 6 times. 2, 3, 4, and you should have a stitch count of 36. All right, moving on to round 18, we're going to just do single crochet 36. So again, just 1 single crochet in each stitch around. I will complete this round off camera and I'll meet you back here for round 19. All right, now moving on to round 19, we are going to do the combination single crochet 5 and an increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an increase. Again, we're going to complete this 6 times, and your stitch count should be 42 at the end of round 19. Now moving on for round 20, 21, 22, and 23, so 4 rounds, we're just going to do single crochet 42. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around for the next 4 rounds. 3, 4, 5. So I will finish rounds 20 till 23 off camera, and then I'll meet you back here for round 24. All right, so this is what we're looking like up to round 23. So we have our snout here, and then this will be like our eyes here, and then the back of the head. Just a pretty big guy. His head is like almost the size of my hand, and will be bigger than my hand once it's done. So moving on to round 24, we're going to start decreasing back down again. So for 24, we're going to do the combination single crochet 5 and a decrease stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. And we're going to repeat this 6 times for a stitch count of 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. All right, for round 25, we're going to do single crochet 36. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around. 2, 3, All right, for round 26, we're going to do the combination single crochet 4 and a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease. Repeat this 6 times for a stitch count of 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease. So I'll finish this round off camera and I'll meet you back here for round 27. All right, moving on to round 27. We're going to do the combination single crochet 3 and decrease. 1, 2, 3, and decrease. Again, we're going to repeat this 6 times. 2, 3, and our stitch count should be 24 at the end of this round. Here we go. Now before we move forward here, we are going to stuff the rest of the head here. So I'm just going to take a big thing of fiber fill. I'm going to stuff the exact same way I did with the snout. Just going to put some in there. I'm going to sweep it out to the side. Now, if you're doing eyes that are embroidered, you can continue on and skip this next step, but we're going to place our eyes. Now, I personally like to stuff first prior to placing my eyes, just because I find when you stuff it, it really does change the shape of your head or whatever it is you're stuffing. And I just find that I'll put the eye somewhere if I don't stuff it. And then once I stuff it, I don't like where they are. So I like to stuff first, see what I'm working with, see where the shapes of the face are, where my eyes should belong, and then I will place them. And if I need to take the stuffing out to put the backings in, then I'll do that. So when we're placing our eyes here, for me, I kind of notice one side's going to have more of an upwards curve, and one side's going to be more flat. You want your snout, you want this line here from our oval to be flat across the front. So this will be the top of the head, this will be the bottom of the head, and this is the front of the snout. So with that in mind, then this will be where my eyes are. And I want to make sure that it's on the curved upward side that's slightly curved up. It's not a huge difference from the bottom. And that is where I'm going to place my eyes. So I'm just going to zoom you out a little bit here. Now I like to place my eyes here on rounds 16 and 17. So I'm just going to count back. We have our first round, which is just our chain row. And then our second round is right here. So we're going to count back 2. So 1, 2 here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 16 and 17 is right here. So I'm just going to put some pins just to mark that. Kind of where, just the general idea of where I'm going to have my eyes. And just always making sure that before we're placing our eyes that we are right where we want to be. All right, so I'm going to just grab my eyes. Now, in the beginning I said I was using 20 millimeter. I lied. I'm going to use 16. I tried mapping out 20 and I just didn't like how it was looking. So, but you use whatever you would like. So I'm just going to roughly place these. Now we are going to do a little bit of face shaping, which is going to bring the eyes in a little bit closer together. So we want them close enough, but not so close that they're going to look weird once we do some shaping of the face here. We want to make sure that we are centered here. on our snout. I think that's good. All right, so I'm just going to place my backings here. Again, just remove the stuffing if it's in your way at this point. Here we go. And there is our eyes attached. All right, so once our eyes are attached here, we're going to move on to round 28, which is going to be a full decrease round, so 12 decreases. And this should bring us down to 12 stitches, as we have 24 right now. Three, 4. I will just complete this round off camera and I'll meet you back here for the final round. All right, so this is what we're looking like. I'm just going to place a little bit more stuffing in the bottom part here of the head as we are nearing the last round, and it's going to become pretty hard to stuff this area. So I'm just going to do that now just so I can make sure that I have the shaping that I want. Just like that. And then we're going to move on to our final round, round 29 of the head. And this is going to be another full decrease round. So in this round, we're going to do 6 decrease stitches. And you should, again, be ending here with 6 stitches, just like we started with. Here we go. Now I'm just going to place a slip stitch in this next stitch here and pull through, and I'm just going to cut my yarn here. I need to sharpen my scissors, I guess. And I'm just going to pull that through to create a little knot. Now I'm just going to pull my stitch marker out here. Now to end off this last little hole here, I'm just going to take my smaller hook, that 3.75 millimeter, and I'm just going to go underneath this front loop of each stitch, yarn over, and pull through my tail into the next stitch and the next one. Just keep going all the way around in all the stitches to close up that last hole. Just give that a bit of a pull, and there you go. And then I just like to make a little knot as well, just for extra security. Just like that. And then I'm just going to weave that end in. All right, and there is the base of our head fully completed. Next up, we will work on the ears. All right, so once we have completed the base of the head, we are going to move on to the ears. So for the ears, we're going to be using this brown yarn again. And once again, we're going to start off with a magic ring. And inside our magic ring, we are going to place 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just going to close that off. Place my stitch marker here. And there is round 1. So for round 2, we're going to do the combination single crochet 1 and an increase. Now 4 stitches can be difficult to work in, so just take your time and make sure that you're going into all of them. So single crochet and increase. And we'll do that one more time. Single crochet and an increase. And you should have 6 stitches at the end of round 2. Moving on for round 3, we're doing the combination single crochet 2 and an increase. 1, 2, increase, and we'll repeat that again one more time. 1, 2, and an increase. And we should have 8 stitches at this point. Moving on to round 4, we're just going to do 8 single crochets. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. For round 5, we're going to do the combination single crochet 3 and an increase. 1, 2, 3, increase. Repeat that one more time. 1, 2, 3, and increase. And you should have 10 stitches at this point. Now moving on to round 6, we're just going to do single crochet 10. So again, 1 single crochet in each stitch around. 2, 3, 4, 'Right. For round 7, we're going to do the combination single crochet 4 and an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and an increase. And we'll repeat that again one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and an increase. And you should have 12 stitches now. All right, for round 8, we're going to do single crochet 12. Sure, you can see the pattern here. We're just increasing by 2 stitches each every second row. So just 12 single crochets in this round. All right, moving on to round 9, we're going to do the combination single crochet 5 and an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an increase. Repeat that one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an increase. And you should have 14 stitches now. And for our last round of the ear, round 10, we're going to do single crochet 14. So again, just 1 single crochet around. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So there is our ear completed. So I'm just going to take my stitch marker out. I'm just going to place a slip stitch here to the next stitch. And I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut about 10 to 12 inches. And I'm also going to cut my center string here from my magic ring because we're not stuffing this ear. So we don't want really any stuffing in this guy. Just taking all my fluffs off that are coming. So this is what we're looking like right now, just a flat ear, or round if you punch it out. So what we're going to do now is we're going to shape this ear. So I'm going to use my darning needle here. I'm just going to grab that, put that right on my hook. Now we want the edge of your yarn to be on the edge. So you don't want it to be in the middle like this. You want it to be on the edge like this. You're going to pinch down your project flat, and then we're going to pinch it up together like this so we can get that shape that we want for our ear. Now we're just going to take our darning needle and making sure we're going through all 4 stitches. So 2 from this side, 2 from this side. We're going to sew this end together. And just make sure you continuously go through all the sections. Like that. And if you want to do another little row just for extra security. Sometimes I like to do a little knot in the front here. Just really for extra security again. So this is what we're looking like with our ear. Now we're going to need 2 of these. So go back and make 1 more. Shape it the exact same way, and then we will meet back here to sew them on. All right, so we have both our ears now, and we are going to sew them on. So we need to grab our head. So here's our head. Now, you're going to either need fabric pins for this, or in this case, I'm just going to use a knitting needle, and I'll show you what I do for this one. So what we're going to do is we are going to attach these ears to rounds 21 to 23 of the head. So the first thing I like to do is just get my bearings onto where that's going to be. So I'm going to count back from the snout here. So there's my first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So this is row 21. So I'm going to place a little pin here. 20, let's see here now, I've forgotten. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I put it behind row 21, 22, and 23. So I like to just put some pins so that I can remember, because like I just did, it's so easy to forget which rows they are. And then I'm just going to place pins on the other side as well. Now these pins obviously are movable, so it's not going to be the final spot for them. Now we also want about 9 stitches in between our ears, sorry. So I think I'm just going to move these up a tad. A lot of this is trial and error for myself, at least. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm just going to move this one up a bit. And sometimes these numbers are guidelines, you know. You can do what you feel looks the best. So I'm just going to roughly place those there. See how I like that. All right, so I've decided to do mine about 10 stitches in between on the last round there. But again, just make it how you feel looks the best. If you use different yarn, it's going to look different. I made this pattern originally with Bernat blanket yarn, so that yarn may look different. The stitches may be farther apart. than this yarn, so it may just need a little bit of an adjustment. So if you feel like it's not looking right, then you do that. So now I'm just going to place my knitting needle here. Just going to line that up as best I can. And this one. And I'm just adjusting this until it's in the right spot here. Here we go. I just like to use the knitting needles personally. I find that the fabric pins sometimes just aren't strong enough to hold your project in place, and the knitting needles kind of are better for that. So I'm taking my darning needle here and using my guides that I made, I'm going to sew this on. Now for the ears, I kind of like when they're down a little bit. This is really personal preference. So I'm just going to attach mine down a tad. So all I do is I just insert my darning needle here and I just push it down a couple rounds to where I want the ear to sit. So I think that's probably good there. It came right off my needle here. And then I'm just going to find the spot in the ear that it matches up with, like this. Oh my goodness, I need to put this on better. And then I'm going to go right back into the head, about 1 stitch over, and then I'm going to push that back to the very back there. Just like that. All right, so I'm going to sew on this second ear the exact same way I sewed this one on, and then I'll meet you back here for the next step. All right, so once both of our ears are attached, I just meet them in the back here. My one strand fully lost all of its yarn, which makes it really difficult. And I just like to tie a couple knots here just to secure the ears. And then I'm just going to cut my yarn, take my crochet hook, and I'm just going to weave those ends in. Just like that. And there we have our moose ears. Next, we're going to take a second to just quickly shape our eyes here and just bring them in ever so slightly. So I just have a size 4 medium weight yarn here, and I'm going to put it on my darning needle. The color really shouldn't matter because it's going to be hidden anyways, but I usually use black or something close-ish to the color of my project. So how we're going to shape our eyes is we're going to take our darning needle and we're going to insert it as close as possible to the top of one eye, just like that. Next, we're going to push that over to the other side on the top as well. And you really want it as close as you can get it to the top of the eye. And I'm just going to pull that through so you have a tail on both sides. Now just leaving this attached, I'm on this eye here. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the bottom of the eye and do the same thing as close as possible to that eye. I'm going to insert my needle here. Sometimes this just takes a little bit of finessing. There we go. And I'm just going to push that down to the bottom around where I'm going to attach my head. Now you can see that mine automatically went to the outside. We want it on the inside. of the eye like this. So I'm just going to move it and pull. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side here. Now, because we're sewing on the body here, I'm going to offset my stitches. If you weren't sewing on and there wasn't going to be any hiding of your stitches, then you could do it in the same one. It just doesn't hold as nice, but this will create an indent. So if you have an indent you don't want to be seen, or that won't be covered up, then put them in the same stitch. But for this guy, we're going to do that. All right, so once we have our strands all done, all we're going to do is we're going to lightly pull them. And what you'll notice is that your eyes are going to be brought in a little bit. We don't want it to be too much. See how that's like a little bit too much, but you can see the definition here that it's giving. So if it's too much, then just pull it out a little bit and retighten it. This is also just kind of a game of trial and error until you have kind of the look you're going for. So I think that's good for mine. So all I'm going to do on the back here is just tie a knot. Just do a little bit of finessing here. Tie another knot. And I'm just going to cut that yarn. And I'm going to weave that in. Now, as you can see here, I'm not sure if you can really tell on camera, but that little indent is where my stitches are. So like I said, if we weren't putting the body here, I wouldn't have put them in separate stitches because I don't want this indent normally, but it's going to be covered, so I'm not super concerned about it. So there is our face shaping. We just added a little bit of definition to the eyes. All right, so moving on, we're going to start on the antlers. So I'm going to grab my beigey yarn for the antlers that I wanted to use. And to start off, we're going to make a magic ring. Now the antlers are built in 3 parts with a little bit of sewing. So we'll create all 3 parts first and then we will sew them all together. So once we have our magic ring for round 1, we're going to place 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Just going to pull that. And I'm going to place my stitch marker. Moving on to round 2, we're going to do the combination single crochet and increase. Sorry, that's my doggo. Single crochet and increase. And we'll repeat this a total of 3 times. Single crochet, increase. And you should have 9 stitches at the end of this round. And an increase. For round 3, we're going to do the combination single crochet 2 and an increase. So 1, 2, and increase. And again, 3 times total. 1, 2, increase. Once more here. 1, 2, and increase. And we should have 12 stitches at the end of round 3. So this is what we're looking like. Now for round 4, we're just going to do single crochet 12. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around for all 12 stitches. 3, 4. All right, that's round 4. Round 5, we're doing the combination single crochet 3 and an increase. 1, 2, 3, increase, and again we're going to repeat this 3 times. 1, 2, 3, increase, and 1, 2, 3, and an increase. And you should have 15 stitches at this point. Now moving on for round 6, we're going to start decreasing down. So we're going to do the opposite of what we just did. We're going to do the combination single crochet 3 and a decrease. So 1, 2, 3, and a decrease the same way that we did it in the head. So just front loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. And again, we'll repeat this 3 times, and you should have a stitch count of 12 at the end. Decrease, and one more. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease. Perfect. I'm just going to pull this out a little bit here and stuff in my yarn tail. All right, for round 7, we're going to do the combination single crochet 2 and a decrease. 1, 2, decrease. Repeat this 3 times. Decrease for a stitch count of 9. 1, 2, and a decrease. So now before we move any further, we're going to just lightly stuff this end piece with just some fiberfill. It really won't take a lot. You don't need to overstuff it by any means. So that's what we're looking like so far. So for rounds 8 to 18, or 11 rounds, we're going to do single crochet 9. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around for 11 rounds. Just like this. I'm going to complete these rounds off camera. Just continue to stuff every few rounds until you reach round 18. And once we've reached round 18, we'll meet back here for the next step. All right, so this is what we're looking like at the end of round 18 for the part 1 of our antler. So now I'm just going to remove my stitch marker here. And I'm just going to place my slip stitch again like I normally do here. And I'm going to cut about 10 to 12 inches. That's for sewing on. And we're also just going to cut another 10 to 12 inch strand for the next step here of that same colored yarn. We'll just put that to the side here. I'm just going to pull this through like that. So this is what we're looking like. Now quickly before we move on, we just want to shape this a little bit. Right now it's pretty straight and we want it to be kind of curved a little bit. So that's what this little piece of strand does. So I'm going to grab my darning needle and I'm just going to place that on my darning needle. Now I'm going to make sure here that my end strand is centered on the front here. And I want to insert my darning needle kind of in line with this end on the other end. If that makes sense. And I'm just going to tie this in a little knot. And this is the great part about this yarn, is it just does hide a lot of these things that you can do. Now what we want to do is we want to weave through, I'll just bring you out a little bit. We want to weave down to this end every few rows. So we're going to go in and out, in, out, in, out, as straight as you can. Every few stitches you can pull it through, in, out, all the way down to meet up with this other strand here, just like that. Now all we're going to do is just give that a quick tug, and you can see if I pull it really hard, it's going to pull it a lot. We don't need it to be super, super curved, but we do want it to have just a little bit of shape to it. So I'm just going to pull that until I'm happy with the shaping. And then we're going to tie this off with our other strand of yarn here, just to secure that. And then I'm just going to stuff that yarn tail back into my project. And this one still remains out for sewing on. Now we'll leave, this one you can leave, or you can weave in. Lost my hook here that I was using. So just grab that and just weave it in here. Go. Here we go. Now it just has that little bit of curve, which is exactly what we want. So we're going to put that to the side there, and we're going to move on to part 2 of our antler. And again, we're going to be using the same colored yarn here. All right. So first off, for round 1 of the part 2 antler, we're going to do a magic ring. And in the magic ring, we're going to do 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bring you back in again here. And I'll just pull that tight. Place my stitch marker. Moving on to round 2 here, we're going to do single crochet and an increase. Single crochet 1 and increase. Single crochet, increase. And we'll do that one more time. Single crochet, increase, and your stitch count should be 9 at the end of round 2. All right, moving on to round 3, we're going to do the combination single crochet 2 and an increase. 1, 2, increase. Repeat that 3 times. 1, 2, increase. 1, 2, increase. We should have 12 stitches at this point. Now moving on for rounds 4 and 5, so 2 rounds, we're just going to do single crochet 12. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around for rounds 4 and 5. I'll complete these off camera and I'll meet you back here. Alright, so this is what we're looking like at the end of round 5, and this is the last round. So I'm going to take out my stitch marker, and again just place a little slip stitch here into the next stitch, and I'm going to just leave myself about 12 inches again. Pull that through to knot it off there. Now again, we're just going to grab a little bit of fiber fill here and stuff this guy. Doesn't need a lot. There we go. All right, now we have that part 2 completed. Now we're going to grab our horn or our antler here, and we're going to sew these on together. So basically this second piece is going to sit right on top here. So this little bulbous area of the first antler, that's going to be the far end. And then this one's going to start around round 7 or 8, depending on your project. And I'm going to just use my darning needle. So round 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So around here, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe to round 12, even more probably, 13. Just depends. I'm going to squish mine a little bit because we do have one more piece that sits here. So I'm going to put mine right there. And I'm going to just pin this a little bit just to keep it in place. You want the curve of the antler that we just did on the big piece to be curving up. Like this should be on the up side. It shouldn't be on this side, if that makes sense. So now once I am happy with that, I'm just going to start sewing this on here. There we go. And I'm just going to tie a little knot as well, just to secure that. And I'm just going to push that down and out to meet up with my other strands of yarn that I have here. And I'm just going to tie that off to secure it. And again, these little pieces can be cut and stuffed into the antler. All right, so there is part 1 and 2 done. We will complete part 3 and then we will sew them all onto the head. All right, so for part 3 of our antler, we're going to start off again with a magic ring with that beige yarn again. And we're going to make 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Grab our stitch marker here. For round 2 of this part, we are going to do combination single crochet 1 here and an increase. And we'll repeat that 2 times. So single crochet, and increase. And you should have 6 stitches. Round 3 is going to be the combination single crochet 2 and an increase. So 1, 2, increase, and we're going to repeat this 2 times again as well. So 1, 2, and increase. And we should have 8 stitches at this point. And then moving on to the 4th and final round, we are going to do single crochet 8. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around, for round 4. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Remove my stitch marker because that's the end of that round, and place my slip stitch there. I'm just going to cut my strand here and pull that through. Now this piece is quite small. I'm going to mostly be stuffing with just my yarn tail from when I made the magic ring. And if it needs a little bit more, I can always add a little bit more. Just bring you out a little bit, because now we're going to go back to our antler and we're going to sew this on. Now this one's going to go right next door to the one we just sewed on, and it basically will hit the very edge of the part 1 of our antler. So I'm just going to place this tail here on my darning needle. Just going to place this here. You can place these with fabric pins too prior to sewing, but it's a really small piece, so I'm just gonna YOLO, if you will. There we go. Just tie a little knot in here, just like that, and then I'm just going to feed that again out the back end. So this is what we're looking like, and just going to see here. I'm just going to tie this one off as well, like I did the others, just to extra secure it. Okay, just going to cut one of those. Now you should have the 3 shorter pieces. Again, I'm going to stuff back in because of course they came out. Now the last thing we're going to do with this is we're just going to place this end on the darning needle here. And I just like to sew this little piece shut because I find that it's easier for sewing on. So we're just going to go back and forth along this edge here to sew that shut to make it a little bit more flat. Make a little knot. And there you go, with one antler completed. So go back and create another antler just like this one, and then we will meet back here to sew them onto the head. All right, so I have created 2 antlers, and now we're going to attach them to the head. So we'll just grab our head here. Now these antlers are going to be placed just directly behind the ears. So the bumps are going to face upwards, and they're going to sit right behind the ear just like this. So these guys are kind of a little bit heavier, so I'm just going to hold it instead of pinning it while I sew it on here. Alright, so that's kind of what we're looking like. And I'm just going to pull this down just a little bit. we go. And then I'm just going to create a little knot here. And I'm just going to stick that to the back. There we go. One antler attached. So we will go back and attach this other antler, and then I'll meet you back here. All right, so there are our antlers all attached. So now I'm just going to tie a little knot here in the back with my yarn tails. And then I will trim them. And weave those ends in there. There we go. And that is the most of the head completed. All we have to do is the nose, which we'll do a little bit later. But next we're going to start working on the body. That is the end of part 1. Head on over to part 2 so we can complete the body, the arms, and the legs.